I'm back to read chapter 6, Darkness, and I just got done running, so I look kind of crazy, but it is what it is. I wanted to make sure I got this read to you because I don't know if I put one up yesterday, and I thought maybe you would want to see another chapter of the Tale of Despereaux. So it's chapter 6, Darkness. And remember, we think he's fallen down like into the gutters of the street after he escaped. So we'll see if that was the right prediction or not. Roscuro blinked, then blinked again as his eyes tried to adjust to the awful darkness. But it didn't help. The rat had landed in a place of suffocating, stifling blackness. And for a rat who loved daylight, this was a terrible place indeed. Roscuro looked up toward the grate, now stories above him, where one last trickle of light struggled to reach him. He could see a faint outline of damp, rancid walls, a steep staircase that led down into yet more darkness, and his reflection in a puddle. Remember how we talk about when the setting creates like a mood? And this seems really dark and kind of scary. So we're thinking like the mood is kind of scary, kind of sad right now. That's how Roscuro would be feeling. He stared down at his face, the same one that had caused the queen so much terror. Was he that ugly? He wondered. That repulsive? He thrust his paw into the water, destroying his reflection. Roscuro slumped against the wall and sat for a while, trying to muster the courage to move. But for what? He asked himself. He was a rat without a home or a friend. He was alone, completely alone. And then the rat did something most unrat-like. The rat began to cry. Roscuro cried and cried and cried, and he didn't stop crying until he felt something, or rather, someone. Roscuro felt an icy prickling at the back of his neck, the kind of feeling that you get when you're being watched. Roscuro froze as the shadow of a towering robed figure emerged from the darkness. 2 red eyes slowly materialized. And then, behind that creature, more eyes. Roscuro squeaked and hid behind his paws. You don't need to be afraid, the creature said, slinking from the shadows and into the gray light. It had the face of a rodent, but it was much, much taller with long, gangly arms and finger-like claws. So this is where you would be like kind of wondering, what kind of animal is that? It's a rodent, but it's bigger than the rat, had the face of a rat, but was taller. I know it's dark, the creature soothed, but you'll get used to it. Who are you? Roscuro asked, blinking. The grotesque face inched closer. It was horrid, gnarled and fanged with sunken eyes. Just a rat, like you, he said. His name was Botticelli, and he was the most frightening rat Roscuro had ever seen. Come with me, Botticelli said, with a creepy smile. Botticelli draped one long arm around the smaller rat's shoulders. Roscuro rose slowly and let the stranger lead him deeper into the dungeon. This is scary. And the next chapter is chapter 7, Waiting for a Hero. I'll go ahead and read a little bit more. The Queen of Dor was laid to rest in the royal chapel. Princess P, luminescent even in grief, bid her mother a final farewell. In her hand she held a familiar object, which she tenderly placed at her mother's grave, the queen's soup bowl. So the queen died. I don't know if I realized that she died. Did she die because she was so scared? Then the king stepped forward and with tears filling his eyes, placed a flower in the empty bowl. Grief is the strongest thing that a person can feel. You don't feel it often, but when you do. And death can feel so unfair, as if someone has taken something from you, as if it's been stolen. When something hurts this much, there must be a reason. There must be someone to blame. A hurt king, looking to blame someone, can be a dangerous person. His wife's body had no sooner been laid to rest than the king sat down in his chambers to write and to punish. The village crier read the king's proclamation in the town square. From this moment on, soup, the making of soup, the selling of soup, or the eating of soup is hereby outlawed in the kingdom of Dor. Rats are to be considered illegal as well, and are hereby deemed unlawful creatures in the kingdom of Dor. From this moment on, anyone harboring, sheltering, or possessing a rat in any way shall face the full wrath of the law. As decreed, the royal guards collected every soup kettle, spoon, and dish. They even confiscated the dog bowls. In the royal kitchen, Andre's big soup pot was covered up. In shops and homes, rats were chased and hunted. And in his chambers, the king played the same sad, wailing notes on his guitar over and over. So the mood of this part of the story is very sad. Everyone's feeling very sad because the queen has passed away. So think about this. What happens when something that is just a natural part of the world is suddenly made illegal? You may as well make flies illegal, or sweat, or Monday mornings. But that's what the king did, out of terrible sadness. Dor's once vibrant village was now silent, its town square empty. Soup kettles piled up in the gutters along the entire length of the street. Sunlight left, and the world went gray. Colors faded into one another, and dark clouds filled the sky. And for a long time, it wouldn't rain. The clouds just stayed, and stayed, and stayed. And you know what that's like when it's cloudy for lots of days. Your mood just isn't as happy. We feel much happier on sunny days. In her bedroom, Princess P stared out across the bleak landscape. Louise, her maid, was fitting the princess for a dress, and the jeweled gown threw sequin light all around the room. But Princess P did not notice. "I wish it would rain," said P. She looked at the trees, now dead and lifeless under the gloomy sky. Summer, fall, winter, spring, gray reigned all year. So it's been cloudy all the time. "Yeah, you and the whole world," Louise replied, accidentally sticking P with a needle. "Ow!" said P, wincing. "Sorry, m'lady," Louise apologized. "Well, at least I can still feel that." P turned back to the window. "Louise, do you think there's a bit of light somewhere in the world?" "Dunno, ma'am," said Louise. "I think there is. You just need to know where to find it," said P. But what was the dilemma? But that was the dilemma. Where do you find light in a land where the thing its people love most have been banned? Because they've been banned soup, and they loved soup the very most, so everyone's terribly sad. Because in the royal kitchen, soup no longer bubbled in cauldrons. Magical aromas did not fill the air. Every ingredient was stored away and every pot neatly stacked. What was once a happy mess was now tidy and sterile. The bustling kitchen staff had dwindled to one member. Andre, depressed and alone, sat at his table, idly spinning a Dorian shilling. On the third spin, he accidentally flipped the small shilling onto the floor, but the chef made no movement to get it. He just watched the coin roll to the corner of the room and disappear into a mouse hole. Do you remember when we told you that once upon a time there was a brave little mouse? Well, if you know anything about fairy tales, you know that a hero doesn't appear until the world really needs one. And I think in the next chapter, we're going to meet our brave little mouse, Despereaux. We've only heard of these rats and all of the sadness in the kingdom. And the next chapter is the mouse. So I'm going to stop there, and we will read that very soon. Keep working hard. Keep finishing all your reading, math, and writing activities. I want everything on there done, and I want to be able to see that as you're working. Bye, guys.